Hello, very good evening to you. Welcome to Wednesday's calendar with Tina Gelder and Ian White.
Yes, thank you for joining us. Here are tonight's main stories.
A time for calm, with reports of more far-right protests planned for our region tonight. People are being urged to reject the violence we saw in Rotherham.
I feel very frightened and very worried because I think it'll escalate more and there'll be more trouble and more people hurt. Yeah, I like everybody. You know what I mean? I want peace in this world.
Police have stepped up patrols across our region and say they are ready to deal with any disorder. Meanwhile, at a vigil here at Rotherham Minster, people are being asked to come together and show unity.
Also tonight, more details emerge over a horror crash near Barnsley, which claimed the lives of 6 people, including 2 young sisters.
Winds of change, the storm brewing over plans for 65 Blackpool Tower-sized turbines in the heart of Bronte country.
At the end of the day, do we have clean energy at any cost? Because that's, if we build up here, that's effectively what it would be, because we would lose such a lot.
But we start with calls for calm and for unity, amid reports of further anti-immigration protests planned in our region tonight, and with them, the potential for further unrest.
Scenes of Sunday's appalling violence in Rotherham as far-right thugs attacked a hotel housing asylum seekers were broadcast to millions around the globe. But it was people living around that South Yorkshire community who felt the real impact and who say that violence must not be repeated.
Now, following a series of online posts, it's understood that dozens of protests could be held across the country tonight, with police promising to clamp down swiftly and firmly on any troublemakers.
Well, our reporter Adam Fowler is live for us in Wath upon Dearne tonight. And Adam, what can you tell us this evening?
Well, you mentioned there about online posts, and there's been a list circulating on social media with various locations across England and Wales that may potentially be targeted for further unrest tonight. And we understand that among those towns and cities are Sheffield and Rotherham, and it is being taken seriously by police. We've seen an increased police presence on the streets of South Yorkshire this afternoon, and they say they're fully prepared to deal with any disorder that may arise, be it spontaneous or planned. Now, earlier today, I've been speaking to people in Rotherham about their fears over further potential violence. Broken bones, concussion and head injuries. Sunday's violence saw 51 police officers injured as an estimated 700 people gathered outside the Holiday Inn Express in Rotherham. Those unable to return to frontline duties are now part of a team trawling through footage to secure further arrests and charges. There are now concerns that as many as 100 more protests could be planned across England and Wales, including several in the Calendar region. The violence has fuelled a climate of fear in Rotherham.
We're scared, really scared, aren't we?
Yeah, really scared.
Yeah, we are. Like, just my daughter said that there was trouble today, so we didn't know whether to come out to the park, did we?
They haven't even been giving them bail, have they? Put them into, rather than giving them bail, they put them into jail straight away before they have the cases. I think that's a good thing.
I feel very frightened and very worried because I think it'll escalate more and there'll be more trouble and more people hurt and even children. It's not right. And all I want is peace. Yeah, I like everybody. You know what I mean? I want peace in this world.
Earlier, the Deputy Prime Minister visited the hotel at the heart of the riots here on Sunday night to speak to police officers involved and see the damage.
We've seen what's happened on the streets like here in Rotherham. That is not our British values. We all equally saw the British people come out and support the communities and with the clean-up operation. So hopefully people will detest what's happened and will stay away from this violence and thuggery that the small minority of people have engaged with.
There's been a visible police presence in South Yorkshire today, including several hundred officers keeping the peace outside Sheffield City Hall. South Yorkshire Police says it has plans in place to respond to any disorder.
The police are doing every single thing they can to keep communities safe. They are out, they are visible, they are in our communities, working with our communities to make sure that people have the confidence that, frankly, nothing is going to happen across South Yorkshire because the police are on top of it, they're out and about, and I've got every confidence that they will keep all of our communities safe.
South Yorkshire Police will always facilitate lawful protest. However, my message to those that are coming out to cause trouble is go home, stay away. We have sufficient resources today. We will deal with you firmly if you break the law.
Among those calling for peace from Rotherham is super welterweight boxer Junaid Bostan.
I'm a mixed race lad. My mother's non-Muslim, English, my father's Asian Muslim, so I grew up in a multicultural, different beliefs in one household, so I've seen it for what it is and it works rather well. My mother works for the NHS and she works with a lot of colleagues who are immigrants, so I mean there's good and bad in every colour, every religion, and I don't think we should paint everyone with the same brush.
What's your message to anybody that might be thinking of joining in some of this unrest?
Think of what goal you have in mind, because from my understanding no riot, no protest is going to achieve that for the most part, and we've all got a family to provide for and you don't want to be taken away from them.
Calls for harmony too today from Sheffield's Grand Mosque.
We must all come together as human beings, as peaceful citizens of this country, whatever our background is. And I think it's very important that we stand with the police, because police is our police, is not the police or anybody else's police. And they are doing their best to keep the communities calm.
Those taking part in the unrest have been warned to expect arrest and the full force of the law. It's hoped those warnings will be heeded and scenes like this can be resigned to history as soon as possible. Adam Fowler, ITV News.
Well, let's go back to Adam now. And Adam, what's the latest in terms of arrests from Sunday's disorder?
Well, just this afternoon, South Yorkshire Police released a lot of images of people that they're keen to identify in relation to the disorder here in Rotherham at the weekend. We're showing just a few of them now, but if you want to see all of those images, you can head over to our website, itv.com/calendar. In terms of arrests so far and charges, 9 people have been charged, one in relation to a smaller protest over in Sheffield. The other 8 people who've been charged are in relation to the disorder here in Rotherham. And among those 8, 3 of them aged 17 and under. Across the country, there have been more than 420 arrests so far. One man was sentenced to 3 years for his part in the violence over in Southport. The message that the authorities want to make crystal clear is that if you're involved in this kind of disorder, justice will be as serious as it is swift.
Adam Fowler, live in Rotherham, thank you, and let's hope for a quiet night. Now then, well, away from the potential protest, one gathering we do know will be happening later is a peace vigil at Rotherham Minster, where multi-faith religious leaders are calling for hatred and prejudice to be overcome.
Well, our man Michael Billington is live at the Minster now. Michael, what is the mood like there at the moment?
Well, it's eerily quiet here in Rotherham this evening, and we have seen such division, haven't we, over the last few days, and certain sections of this community have responded to that by really having a renewed effort to try and bring people closer together again. In fact, Rotherham Minster is opening its doors this evening, inviting people in to light candles and say prayers in a vigil that's been arranged by United Churches Together. But Reverend Phil Batchford, this is open to everyone, isn't it? It's for people of all faiths and of none.
Absolutely. We just wanted, in the light of the weekend's events, to open our doors, invite people to come in, and whether they're people of faith or none, that tonight's about declaring our belief in peace and hope and in mutual respect.
What are you hoping will come from this evening? Because there is a real fear in the community. There are people that are frightened to leave their homes.
Yeah, there are, and sadly I kind of understand that, having watched the sickening events unfold over the weekend. But we just wanted to give people the opportunity to practically demonstrate their support for all that's good in the life of this community, because the weekend's events don't reflect the heart of this community in Rotherham.
Well, let's hear about some of those fears now. Abrod Javed is from the Rotherham Muslim Community Forum. Abrod, just tell us, just how fearful are people in the community at the moment?
Yeah, the fear is real. Nationally, we've seen appalling scenes, violent scenes from north to the south, and it's a worrying time. In Rotherham 10 years ago, we've been through events like this before, with the far right marches, and what it's done is that it's really raised the level of anxiety and fear in the elders in our community, the women, the children.
And can people from particularly minority communities live their day-to-day lives as normal at the moment?
Yeah, we're trying our best to go that way. That's the advice that we're given from our voluntary organisation that we run, but we are saying with the caveat of being just keeping vigilant, just if there's any incidents, report to the police, etc. But we are really saying go about your daily business.
Okay, thanks very much indeed. Well, this vigil starts at 7 o'clock this evening in the hope of promoting peace after what's been a really traumatic week here in Rotherham.
Michael Billington live at Rotherham Minster. Thank you. And there'll be more on the recent disorder and calls for calm on the ITV National News after calendar. That's at 6:30.
Our other main story tonight, and an inquest been opened today into the deaths of 6 people who died on the A61 north of Barnsley.
Yes, Wakefield Coroner's Court heard how a motorcycle was overtaking another vehicle when it collided with a car carrying 4 members of the same family. Here's Martin Fisher.
Well, in a hearing lasting a little over 15 minutes here at Wakefield Coroner's Court, more details have emerged of the appalling crash that took place on the A61 just to the north of Barnsley 2.5 weeks ago now. Now, during that crash, a silver Ford Focus driven by Shane Roller collided with a black BMW motorcycle. In the car with Mr. Roller was Shannon Morgan and their 2 young children who were in the passenger seats to the rear, Lily 4 and Ruby 9. All 4 died at the scene. Now, the car was in collision with a motorbike, and that was ridden by Christopher Barton with his wife, Janine Barton, as pillion passenger. Well, giving evidence to the court today, the coroner's officer here, Phil Marr, said this: the collision occurred as the motorcycle was overtaking another vehicle. The A61 road at this point has a single carriageway in each direction and is subject to a 50 miles an hour limit. As a result of a head-on impact, the motor car was spun to the side of the road where it caught fire. It was not possible to release any of the occupants, and all 4 were pronounced dead by paramedics at the scene while still in the vehicle. The rider of the motorcycle suffered injuries which disrupted his body. The pillion passenger was thrown onto the adjacent golf course. Both Mr. and Mrs. Barton were pronounced dead at the scene by paramedics. Well, provisional causes of death were given for all 6 who died. Mr. Roller as head injuries, and that's of Shannon Morgan, and 2 children as from smoke and gas inhalation. As for the Bartons, the cause of death provisionally was given as head and chest injuries. Well, closing today's proceedings, the senior coroner here, Kevin McLaughlin, praised emergency services who had to attend the scene that Sunday afternoon. He said the scene they encountered was immensely distressing for ambulance, police and fire personnel. I wish to acknowledge the value and professionalism of the work they carried out. Well, the inquest here was adjourned to a date yet to be fixed. Martin Fisher, ITV News in Wakefield.
You're watching Wednesday night's calendar, and still to come on the programme tonight, an Olympic wobble. Yorkshire cyclists settle for silver after a slip in the saddle for Team GB's Team Pursuit.
And why is the forecast full of hot air? Well, Pepper and Rosie get a dry walkies tomorrow, and can we still get the load on the line by Friday? All the detail a little later on.
Well, talking of hot air, it's feared 65 wind turbines higher than Blackpool Tower could be put up on the moors, made famous by Emily Bronte's novel Wuthering Heights. It would be England's biggest wind farm if it did go ahead.
Well, there's fierce opposition to the plans, which have come as the new Labour government paved the way for onshore wind farms. Katie Oscroft reports.
A protected landscape, a haven for wildlife otherwise under threat, and a cultural inspiration. This is how those who are now fighting to save this moorland from development describe it.
This is Calderdale's jewel in the crown, Walshaw Moor. This is one of the most protected landscapes in Britain and very, very important for the peatland habitat up here and also for the very vulnerable bird species. We can get all the energy that we need in the UK on 3% of our land, avoiding precious areas such as Walshaw Moor.
There are already wind farms in the South Pennines, but much smaller, and new ones were banned in 2015 until the current Labour government changed the rules. Walshaw Moor was the inspiration for Emily Bronte's famous novel Wuthering Heights.
I thought I would never find this place.
Its remoteness and her characters Cathy and Heathcliff are known to millions.
People come from all over the world to visit Bronte Country, and it's also the landscape which inspired Ted Hughes and Sylvia Plath and Bill Brandt, and it continues to inspire people today. We get thousands of visitors walking up to Top Withens, for example, which would, if the swim farm went ahead, would be overshadowed by a huge array of wind turbines. It's just a very iconic landscape in cultural terms.
This is the tip of a vast swathe of moorland covering 9 square miles. It could become home to 65 wind turbines, each around 200 metres tall. That's bigger than Blackpool Tower. This bitter row has put people normally on the same side over protecting the environment in opposite corners. In a statement, the Department for Energy Security and Net Zero said, by overturning the decade-long ban on onshore wind, we have sent a signal to investors that the UK is back in business, an immediate step in our mission to make Britain a clean energy superpower.
At the end of the day, do we have clean energy at any cost? Because that's, if we build up here, that's effectively what it would be, because we would lose such a lot.
Save our peat! Save our peat!
Protesters are now gathering support for a petition against the plans to alter this landscape and change everything for its wildlife and the tourists who come here. Katie Oscroft, ITV News, above Hebden Bridge.
And we'll, of course, keep you updated on any developments on that story. Well, from wind to hot air. I'm really sorry, that sounded ruder than I expected to be.
I hope my forecasts aren't full of hot air. I hope they're not. But there might be some hot air at the end of the forecast. Now, yesterday, at the end of the forecast, I said Sunday and Monday there was a big question mark, and I kind of left it at that. And then I kind of felt a bit guilty. But yesterday there was a lot of uncertainty about the weekend. I was talking about the jet stream working from west to east pretty much in a straight line, but if we track back across the pond to the States, we have Hurricane Debbie, which is now a tropical storm. They're expecting in the Carolinas, parts of the States, between 6 and 8 months of rainfall in a couple of days. It's not the rainfall we're worried about, it's that warm tropical air, and it's going to basically give the jet stream an oomph, amplify it if you like, and create a big kink. And that means by Sunday that we're south of the jet stream and we're going to start knocking in or dragging up some hot air. So we could be looking at mid to high 20s for us by the time we reach Sunday, and maybe hotter than that further south. There's still a big question about how many days it will be hot and how far north that hot air will be, and if it will be dry, because you can see there's a system just to the west of us. So there's still a lot of question marks, but everybody over the next few days I think is going to be talking about how hot it's going to get towards the end of the weekend.
Well, Kerry, thank you very much. We'll set your full forecast at the end of the programme. Well, major events like the Olympics or football's recent Euros can often inspire armchair fans to get up for a run or a kickabout, and we all know the benefits of that.
Yes, well, the FA is hoping to get more disabled players involved in the beautiful game with a new training course for coaches. Catherine Walker went down to Doncaster to see how it all works.
Jeffrey has always loved football, and twice a week he trains with the Doncaster Titans. He says his club is very welcoming. But in the past, some people have assumed he can't play because of his disability.
It hasn't always been easy for me, but despite me autism spectrum, that I do overcome the challenges and equality really, because just because you have disability like autism spectrum and others, don't mean they can't do all that.
Hoping to break down some of the barriers that disabled footballers face, England Football have launched a new coaching session. The course, which is online, is free for all coaches over the age of 16.
We have a lot of coaches in mainstream football that have no experience of disability football. So what this will give is information and help and support to be able to understand some of the disabilities that they may encounter in club and give them some tips and hints of how to coach children or adults with disability.
So when you come here, yeah, I want you to lay it off down there.
So far, nearly 3,500 coaches across the country have enrolled on the course, and many more are keen to take part, including Steph from Doncaster, who's neurodivergent.
Even though you may have some knowledge, it's always good to develop and refresh your knowledge because things change, more ideas come out of how people cope with things and what they find best helps them. So being able to develop on your knowledge and skills would hopefully help you be able to support your players a lot better.
Para-footballer Matt Crossan, who plays for England's cerebral palsy team, hopes this course will get more disabled players off the sidelines.
I just hope and pray that people see it, and there's just one word of mouth, and then we get one. It spreads like wildfire for people, and we can hopefully get people involved. And if you're disabled and you enjoy sport and you want to take part in it, you shouldn't have no boundaries stopping you. You should always have an outlet to go and enjoy yourself at.
Coaches across the region are being encouraged to take this course and help give everyone the chance to be a winner. Catherine Walker, ITV News.
It was fantastic, wasn't it? It shows that, that's what sport should be, all-inclusive. I mean, we saw how Jeffrey and Steph there were getting so much out of it. And actually, those helping them, those coaching them, were just getting such a lot out of it. It's absolutely superb.
Makes a
brilliant.
big difference to everybody's lives, doesn't it?
Yeah, it certainly does.
Right, well, we heard about all that hot air that's on the way at the end of the weekend. Let's get the forecast now from Kerry.
Good visibility on the horizon. Tiri sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Hello again. Yes, a little bit more cloud around now, but this morning it was beautiful, especially to eastern parts of the region. Almost pure blue sky in Whitby first thing this morning. A big thank you to June Hornby for the shot. Yes, a little bit more cloud this afternoon, definitely more unsettled tomorrow, but it's not all bad news as we head towards the weekend. So we replace those clear skies with more cloud from the west today and some showery outbreaks of rain and some quite strong, gusty and blustery winds as well. Still quite breezy overnight tonight, but it will become drier with clear spells and patchy cloud. It's not really until the end of the night that the cloud really does thicken over higher ground and we start to see some showers and low cloud hugging the hills by the time we reach dawn. So as we head into tomorrow, not quite as pretty as Sue's photo here, 5:33 and 8:49 are you sometimes as we head into tomorrow. So tomorrow, some limited drier and brighter weather to begin, but the cloud will build throughout the day. And as we head into the afternoon, outbreaks of rain, heavy at times, particularly over the hills. So certainly over the Pennines and later over the North York Moors, we could see a fair few millimetres of rainfall by the end of the day. The winds are coming in from the south and dragging in quite a lot of humid air. So we are expecting it to be warm and humid, a very different feel across the regions we head to tomorrow. And it could spark off one or two localised thunderstorms for the evening. But as we head into Friday, after a secondary weaker front, we get a very different story for Friday. Drier, brighter, breezy, with just a very few scattered showers, most likely in northern parts of the region. Highs of 22 in that sunshine. It won't feel too bad at all. And definitely warming up, we think, as we head through the weekend.
Tiri sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
And I always like to see a calendar exclusive, of course. And I see you've got a picture of Tita's delicates on the washing line there.
You leave my delicates out of this, thank you very much.
Make sure you pop them in tomorrow and then pop them back out again on Friday.
Kerry, thank you. I think that's it for now, though. I'm back at 10:30. Mary is next. We'll see you later.
Time to go,
Good
yes.
night.
Good night.
Bye.